Hello and welcome back. So in the last lecture we saw how we can get our current working directory by using the function in our OS module called get current working directory. Okay, and there's another function that we can use to change our current working directory. It's called change directory function, os.change directory, chdir, and then we pass the directory that we want to be in. So for instance, let me pass a new directory, users Sami Shumiye, and then let's say desktop. Okay, now if I call my current working directory function, you see it's users Sami Shumiye and then desktop. Earlier it was just users and Sami Shumiye, right? Okay, let me change it back to my earlier current working directory. So chdir and then users Sami Shumiye. Good. Let's talk about file paths. We have two kinds of file paths. One is absolute file path and the other one is relative file paths. Absolute file paths start with the root folder. So for me here, this is an absolute file path because it starts with my root folder, right? Whereas a relative file path don't start with the root folder. Okay. For Windows, again, this is your root folder, C:/. So anything that starts with that is an absolute file path. And we have two extensions. One is called the .dat folder, and we have another one, .dat folder. So if you see one .dat, it just means it refers to that specific folder, this folder. Whereas .dat folder refers to the root folder. Okay, let me show you an example here. So I have a picture here. This is in Windows. Let's say my current working directory is the bacon folder. So this bacon folder is inside the C folder. So C folder is the root folder. Inside that, I have the bacon folder. So let's assume the bacon folder is my current working directory. So the relative path will be .dat/. This means I'm referring to this folder, which is, since I am in the bacon folder, ./ means this bacon folder. And the absolute path for it will be C:/bacon. Since absolute folders start with our root folder, right? Good. If I am referring to this fizz folder, which is inside the bacon folder, I can say .dat. That means this folder, the folder that I am in right now, this folder. So since I am in bacon folder, so that means bacon folder and then /fizz. So inside bacon folder, I'm referring to this fizz folder. The absolute path will be C, my root directory. Under C, I have bacon folder and then fizz. Good. what if I'm referring to this spam.txt file? How can I refer to it? Since I'm in backend folder, that means this folder, which is backend folder. And then inside backend folder, go to fizz folder, right? And then finally in fizz folder, I have my file spam.txt. For absolute paths, starts from here, my root directory, and then go to the backend folder. Inside the backend folder, there is another folder called fizz folder, and inside that fizz folder, I have my spam.txt file. Okay? Now let's see this eggs folder. You see this eggs folder? It's no longer in backend folder. It's in the root directory folder. So I used, for the relative path, I used that, right? That means root folder, right? That means root folder. So inside the root folder, which is the C folder, go to eggs folder, eggs. You see the difference between here? In the previous examples, I was using just that one dot. That's because I am currently in the backend folder, in the backend directory. But now, since X is in a different directory, I have to refer to that different directory, which is the root folder. So under the root folder, you'll find X folder. This is the relative path again, because we're using, we are referring to it by that. Whereas the absolute paths always start with the root directory, C:/. This in Windows in Mac or Linux, it will be a / and then whatever the path is. So if I am referring to this spam text here, which is inside the X folder, so that root directory, and then X folder, and then my spam text file. So that's the difference between absolute file paths, relative file paths, and one dot, and then two dot folder. Okay? Now let's look at some more examples. Okay. I have different functions inside the operating system OS module. Inside the path module, one is ABS path. This is one function. And this function returns an absolute path form of the path passed to it. So if I pass, let's say, picture.png and then run it, this will return the absolute path for this file that I passed to. Since the machine assumes I'm in users, then Sami Shumiye folder, so it's giving me the path there. That's why I see users Sami Shumiye. If I change the path to a different folder, for instance, let's say os.path.change directory, chdir, and then if I change this to a different directory, let's say users Sami Shumiye desktop, right? Desktop. What did I miss here? Module has no attribute. Change directory. Oh, this is just os.change directory. I don't need path for that. Okay. Now if I say get current working directory, I get users Sami Shumiye and then desktop, right? So if I get the absolute path of the same file that I passed earlier here, pic.png, since it assumes that I am in the desktop folder, it will give me this absolute path. You see how different it is from what we got earlier? So it assumes our current working directory. Good. And there's another function called is absolute path, and this will return true if the path passed to it is an absolute path. Let me show you an example. So os.path that is absolute path, and then let me pass in this string here, command C, command V, run it, I get true. Similarly, if I pass command C, command V, and if I remove this desktop part and run it, I get true. That's because this is an absolute path, right? Starts with the root directory. What if I pass, let's say, os.path that is abs, just picture that png? What do you think I will get in this case? So I got false. That's because this is not an absolute path. It's just a relative path. Okay?